Welcome to Slapshot Podcast, episode number 70. I'm your host, Christopher Morais. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Welcome in, baby. Hey, we are less than 2 weeks to the start of the NHL season. I am hyped. I'm ready. Bring it in. We're here. We've waited for this. Somebody wake up Green Day soon. September's almost over. I'm so happy for you to be here. If you have found yourself in here by accident, as always, hey, thank you to the YouTube algorithm. Hey, why don't you go ahead? Why don't you drop a follow, hit the sub button, ring the bell. All right. Thank you very much. If you continue to be here, hey, thank you. Right. All of you who listen on the Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, wherever you get your podcast from, make sure, hey, you go, drop a comment, drop a like. Just tell me how much you love or hate the podcast. You can do that as well. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at FuzzyChris91. Make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter or X, whatever you guys want to call it, at SlapshotPod. I appreciate all of you. We are sitting as well, in case you care. The YouTube channel is sitting at 93 followers, 90 subscribers, subs. No, subs. Yes, subs. Like to get there to 100, so go ahead, share that with your friends. All right, we have a lot of things to get through today. All right, we've got a lot of things to get through. We're going to do, we're just going to wrap up some news here as to what's going on in the NHL since I was last here. We're going to play Puckdoku again today. I swear I'm going to get it. If you didn't watch the last episode, or the YouTube video, because there's a video literally just for it, I suggest you go through. There was a lot of emotion. But yeah, we're going to get there. And then we're going to finish off with some best bets for the season. All right. I know some of you, you like to spread a little green during the year, get some money, right? We're not going to pay off mortgages here, but, get a little bit of action in there. Get you something to follow for the year. All right. So let's go through some of the news that was happening since I was last here. So they announced the NHL has partnered with Amazon. Okay, it's going to be on Prime. A show called NHL Coast to Coast. It's starting October 10th. The concept is pretty simple. It's going to be, if you watch football, especially play fantasy football, they have something called Red Zone, which they basically just swap to a whole bunch of different games when teams are in the red zone, right? When they're ready to score. They're going to do something, I guess, similar to that with hockey. They're going to cut to different games and show like the important parts, I guess, things that you would want to see, goals and everything. I am excited to see this. I understand that like red zone for football is a match made in heaven because it is like, it's perfect, right? You get 7 to 9 games that start Sunday, 1 p.m. A lot of teams end up in the red zone and stuff. You can flop back and forth. It's easier, right? Red zone football kind of goes together. I am interested to see how they do this for hockey. I know they did it once last year. It was good. I want to see the same thing. I want to see something that'll keep me engaged. And it's not just about keeping me engaged. It's also getting fans to engage in it, right? We know that fantasy and betting is a big part of sports now. So I guess they're trying to cater a little bit to that. I am okay with it. I want to see what it looks like. I can't wait to see what that is. Some news around the NHL. We got some new captains as well. Nick Foligno was named captain of the Chicago Blackhawks. Okay. Radko Gudas was named captain of the Anaheim Ducks. I feel like those two players are just transition captains until the inevitable happens. At least for Chicago, it's going to be Connor Bedard. Victor Hedman takes over as well as captain of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Good for him. Kyle Okposo announced his retirement. He won the Stanley Cup with the Florida Panthers last season. Good for him. What a way for him to finish out his career. Stanley Cup champion going out on top. So congrats to Kyle Okposo. Moritz Seider, defenseman for the Detroit Red Wings, has signed a 7-year, $8.55 million contract. Good for Moritz Seider. That contract looks really good, especially if he continues to get better. So good for him. Dawson Mercer signed a 3-year, $4 million per season with the New Jersey Devils. Wonderful. Here's one that was interesting that kind of piqued my curiosity. Dylan Guenther of the Utah Hockey Club. Signed an 8-year, $7 million per season contract. Gunther hasn't even played 100 games in the NHL, but clearly Utah sees him becoming a superstar. You lock up his most productive years at $7 million. That seems like a good bargain to me. If he becomes the player that we think he could be, and that the organization does, $7 million is a discount. So excited to see how that goes. The Ottawa Senators have a plan to build a new NHL arena. If you've ever been to Canadian Tire Center in Canada, you know it's in the middle of nowhere. This one apparently is going to be built closer to downtown. We'll see how that goes. Rick Nash has a new role. He was named Director of Hockey Operations for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So good for Rick, returning to where he spent most of his career. And as well, this was kind of like the feel-good story for me. John Tortorella being a good guy. So obviously sometimes I have a love-hate relationship with John Tortorella. Because sometimes John can be an absolute a-hole, whether it's to his players or benching them or healthy scratching them, or just like, not everybody's a fan of John Tortorella, but every once in a while, John reminds you that he is a good guy and he's good for hockey. So John Tortorella invited Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau's father, Guy Gaudreau, to practice on Monday. Right, the Flyers played Monday, so like half their squad was in Montreal because they lost. And then I guess some of the other players were back in Philly, just practicing and whatnot. So John invited Guy Gaudreau to practice, kind of be part of it, run some drills and everything. And obviously we know how difficult it must be for Guy and everything that's going on. It's difficult for the hockey community. It's one of those things. So John was just like, hey, called him up, wanted to know if he wanted to come by, run some drills. I guess maybe take his mind off it a little bit, right? You can't really forget about it completely, especially as a father to those players. But it was nice to see the hockey community come together. As John pointed out, he had never met Johnny or Matthew Gaudreau, despite coaching for multiple years. Guy Gaudreau was not affiliated in any way with Philadelphia Flyers. His family apparently lives close to the Philly area, right? Having in Jersey. So invited him out to practice, ran some drills. Like John Tortorella pointed out, Guy Gaudreau is a hockey coach. He's coached at different levels. So it's a really feel-good story. And again, just, man, John Tortorella sometimes, man, you love him and you hate him. But right now, props to him for just going out of his way and saying, hey, man, let's bring people together. Just take your mind off it for a moment and come be a coach like you are. So shout out to John Tortorella for being a good guy. That was the news, kind of what's happened since the last time we were here together. I know what everybody is waiting for, okay? We're going to switch over it immediately. We are obviously playing Puckdoku. If you are new here, real simple. I got to find a player that matches the kind of like the description here. Think of it like Sudoku, but for hockey. So, example, if I need a player here, I got to find a player who's played for the Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks. I do not get any errors. I can't get a mistake. I'm trying to go 9 for 9. I went 8 for 9 last week, and it was tough. Not that it was hard, but I came so close. And in the end, it doesn't even matter, right? I had to fall to lose it all. Thank you, Lincoln Park. So, again, I'm not going to cheat. At least I'm going to try not to cheat. I feel like I got a good chance here. Looking at this, I feel like I got some opportunities. The easy one here is 40-plus point seasons, because 40 points isn't a lot, right? It's not a lot. All right, so let's begin. Let's start here with a Sedin. Sorry. Henrik or Daniel, I guess it doesn't matter. I'm going to go Henrik here. Wasn't hard. The Buffalo Sabres. Danny Briere, right? Longtime Saber. Makes sense. Colorado, you could go so many different ways. I'm going to go Joe Sakic. It's one of my favorite players growing up. We're off to a fantastic start. Hey, listen, I know sometimes it's difficult for me, but I'm off to a fantastic start. That's right. Round of applause to me. All right. Now I got to do the more difficult part here, which is actually be good. I got some quadrants to fill out with players. Now, I think I got this one here. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Derek Brassard has definitely played with with Philadelphia. He definitely played in Colorado. So, yeah, I was a week early on Derek Brassard, but we're here finally. We made it. Thanks for coming. Okay, now this is where it gets a little tougher. Here I know Rasmus Ristolainen. That I know he played for Buffalo and the Flyers. I feel like Edmonton's going to be a little bit tougher. I also got to think of a Canucks player and a Philly player. Let's circle Edmonton. Here's the thing, though. So Puckdoku states they have to have played at least one game. So, like, I can't put Jeff Skinner here because he technically hasn't played a game for the Edmonton Oilers. That's a trap. So I got to be careful. All right? Can't do that. Delicious. Okay. It's a good start, though. I'm over halfway there. Feeling confident. I need four more players. Trying to think of Colorado and Edmonton. There's got to be a player. Trying to think of maybe goalies or defensemen. I don't know why. Like Jack Johnson came to mind, and I know that's not him. I know the Oilers. You got to go like way back sometimes. Here's how this is gonna go. It's gonna hit me in the face like a 2x4. At some point, I'm gonna be like, oh, of course he played for it. Kind of like how Jeff Skinner happened last week. So, okay, Buffalo, Edmonton, Buffalo, Edmonton. I'm not going to cheat. Remember, not going to look at any current roster kind of thing. I'm trying to think of players that have played like multiple years. You know what I mean? Trying to think of older players as well. I've been around the league a minute. I feel like Vancouver is going to be a tough one for me. It's going to be a tough one. I can't think of a single Edmonton Oiler right now that would have played on any of these. Oh, I can actually. I can. Vander Kane. Let's go. There we go. All right. I got 3 left. Vander Kane is such an obvious choice as well. All right, so we got the Buffalo line settled. That's pretty good. Now I gotta do Colorado and Edmonton. I'm trying to think back to like one of the players that comes to mind for me is Dwayne Rolson. I don't believe he played in Colorado though. I don't believe Dwayne Rolson played in Colorado. I'm also trying to think of Vancouver players. Like Vancouver had some pretty decent lineup. Um, damn. I feel like this would be better as a. No, I couldn't play this like as a live stream because I would cheat by looking at like the chat next to me. But speaking of live streams, I know I said I was maybe going to do one Saturday. Clearly, that didn't happen. Maybe this Saturday, maybe if I can get my shit in order, right? Maybe I do a live stream, bunch of mock drafts. So if you sub to the YouTube and you have and the bell notification turned on, you'll know when that goes live. Just say, friendly plug. All right, I need to focus here. I want to finish this before the sun goes down. So Colorado, Edmonton, Colorado, Edmonton. I can't think of a single one. The Erics and Jack Johnsons keep popping up. I'm not sure which Johnson is in. No, I don't think any of the Johnsons. Did any of the Johnsons play in? Eric and Jack both played in Colorado. I don't think. First of all, imagine thinking I'm going to be able to tell the two apart if one of them did play with the Oilers. Corey Perry didn't play in Colorado. I've hit a bump here. I've hit a speed bump, which is normal. This is all par for the course, right? Me slowing down, all par for the course. I'm just trying to think here what Vancouver. No, that wouldn't make sense. I was thinking Markstrom didn't play anywhere there. Slowing down here. I don't want to cheat. I just don't want to cheat. I got to start finding some solutions to my problems here. So, I feel like there's got to be somebody who's gone from Vancouver to like Edmonton. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be somebody. It's probably a ton. I just can't think of them or that have played. I keep thinking of players that have like been traded directly, but that's not the way this game goes, right? Trying to think here. No, obviously JT Miller didn't play there. No, Simone Gagne didn't play. He didn't play with the Canucks at any point. These need to get easier, or I need to get better. That's probably the latter part. I got to get better, but we're not there yet. Philadelphia. Did Travis Sanheim play somewhere else? I feel like he might have. Colorado is just so locked in as well, so I'm thinking of Carson Soucy. For Vancouver and Edmonton. I know that came out of left field, but we send it? Oh. All right. Well, that's unfortunate. This is what, Puckdoku number 4, and I've yet to get one. I hate it here sometimes. Okay, well, do I even bother with the rest? Like, that's it. Either I get it or I don't. That's it. Not pushing this any further. Mark Messier. That I feel like that I should have known that. Shen. Luke Shen. Okay. Peter Forsberg. Oh my God. Of course he played with the Flyers. Tyson Berry. This was actually so doable. In hindsight, I don't even remember Mark Messier. Oh, I do. Towards the end of his career. Okay. A lot of people got today's score right, and I was not one of them. Okay. Making no progress here. I am so bad at this. It's wild. All right. Well, that's a big old L for me. All right. Well, look. We lost at Puckdoku again. I know. Shocking to most. Let's go through here. So let's turn to something more fun. Okay. As I told you at the top, we got some best NHL best bets. Okay. I'm sorry, Mom. I know my mom doesn't enjoy when I talk about betting, but if you call it this, you can't even call this short-term financial planning because you got to wait like a whole season. Let's call this long-term financial security. Okay. Because in my mind, these bets are good. They're I wouldn't say a lock, but they are above 50% chance of hitting, at least in my mind. Okay. So let's call it that. Long-term financial security today. That's what we're working on today. Right? All right. Let's start with the first one here. Okay. This one's going to trigger some of you. Okay. But it is what it is. All right. I put them up here on the screen so you can see them. I'm going to start with Jonathan Huberdeau. Okay. His point total. It's sitting at over under 54.5 points. You can see the book calls it dead even here. Minus 110, minus 110. Okay. I am going to go with the over here. Now, it's been a struggle for Jonathan Huberdeau since he has arrived in Calgary. Now, to be fair, the Calgary Flames are not a very good team. And I don't expect them to be great this year either. But this is a man who once had 115 points in a season. Now, even if you tell me, well, Chris, that's an outlier. Sure. But I don't believe that elite players just forget how to play hockey. Huberdeau is a pass-first kind of guy. Okay? He has finished with 40 assists in the last 2 seasons. He has played, right? Last season, he played 81 games. Season before that, 79. Okay? He stays healthy and he plays. Here's the thing, though. I don't want Jonathan Huberdeau to play on the third line. That's not where he needs to be. I would like to see him play some top 6 minutes again. Also, he's got to play on the power play. There is a lot of money tied up in Jonathan Huberdeau. And if you look at last season he had 52 points. Season before that, 55. So the books are obviously saying, hey, he's a 50-point player here. I would project him closer to 60. That's not great. It's not great, Bob. But if he stays healthy, and I expect the Calgary Flames to be playing a lot of catch-up hockey, I think that he could very well hit the over here. I don't think it's a reach. I understand that it's been difficult for him over the last 2 seasons. But is he closer to a 60-point player than he is to a 50? Yes. In my mind. I think he's another lock for like 40 some odd assists. Right? 40. I'd like to see him hit 45. If he hits 45 assists, he only needs 10 goals, right? Again, it's not great, but and I'm taking no stock into this, okay? But he had 3 assists in Calgary's opening preseason game. Again, preseason doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, okay? Whether you win, lose, you're trying things. If players have success, great. Players struggle, doesn't matter. Okay? I'm not putting any stock into Huberdeau's 3 assists in a first preseason game, okay? But, again, so, and I'm not laying a ton of money on this one, okay? Just so you got, like, we're not betting the mortgage here, all right? It's Jonathan Huberdeau. I expect him to disappoint me, okay? But I think there's some value here. I will say that, okay? So that's the first one. Jonathan Huberdeau. Could put a little sprinkle on him here to go with the over, all right? Let's go. Let's do the next one here. I got it lined up. It's a little too big here. Sorry. There we go. Boom. Juraj Slafkovsky over 24.5 goals this season. You didn't think I was going to go a whole podcast not talking about Juraj Slafkovsky, the Slovak king. No, of course not. Let me pull up some. Slafkovsky has looked great, okay? I don't think I have to tell you. If you're a Habs fan, you know, okay? And the progression here has been good. To be honest, I wanted to take Juraj Slafkovsky's point totals when I was originally looking at this. I bet on Bet365. You could probably find odds elsewhere, wherever. Shop around your odds, of course. Different books have different prices. I wanted to take Slafkovsky's over in points because it was ridiculously low. It was not even at the 60 mark. I forget what it was. I think it was like 58 or something. And I wanted to smash the over there. Okay. Just being honest. But on Bet365, they took that off the book. So instead, I'm like, well, let's take a look at his goal total. Right? Because I think that the Montreal Canadiens are going to be in a very good spot this year, specifically Juraj Slafkovsky. I think he's figured out how to play with his body more and to be more dominant and more assertive, okay? Here's a couple of things. Last season, he played all 82 games, okay? The year before that, obviously, he was hurt. He played all 82 games. I expect him to play as many, or to maybe miss a couple, but I don't expect, again, I'm knocking on wood here. I'm not expecting anything bad, okay? I'm just saying that. He had 20 goals, 30 assists, 50 points in 82 games. This is his 3rd season now, okay? He's played 121 NHL games. I think this is the part in the curve where you really get exponential here. I don't think he flirts with a point per game per seat this year, although I do think he can top 60 and probably 70 points, depending on how healthy he is and the play of Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. The key factor here is, as well, as he's playing with Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. I also expect him to see top power play minutes. So there's a lot of things that are working for Juraj Slafkovsky here. It still took him half a season last year to get to where it was. It wasn't a great start for Juraj. But once he was put with Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield, everything for him changed. and he scored 20 goals. This is a big boy who is figuring it out. I don't know if he's going to project to be like a 45-plus goal scorer in his career, but right now, I think 24.5 is too low. I think that number should be a little bit higher. Montreal Canadiens are healthy. Knock on wood. Start the year. They have a very good second line as well. Kirby Dach and Patrick Laine there, and whoever else you want to play. With Newhook is playing the wing there. They have some opportunities. Teams have to now start respecting more than just Nick Suzuki's line. So I think the over here is very doable. And I also believe that the over here is not something that's going to hit in like the final 10 days of the season. Right? I feel like this bet could be wrapped up early March. That kind of thing. And again, a lot of things have to go right here. You can't predict injuries and all that kind of jazz. But I like the over here. I really do. I think this number should be higher. I expect it to climb. So I expect on opening night when the puck drops from Montreal that the over total is going to be different for Uri Slafkovsky. It's probably going to go up. I expect this to maybe close at 26.5 goals, especially if Slafkovsky has a really good preseason. I didn't do his points because, like I said, they took it off the board. If you could find his point total, anything over 60 in my mind is money. It's just money. So I'm going to sit here over 25.5, over 24.5 goals. I like that value. Okay. Are we good? We got Jonathan Huberdeau on the over. We got Uri Slafkovsky on the over. Everybody good till now? I'll give you a moment if you want to take out your pad, your notepads, write them down, okay? Good. Next. That's right, baby. Are we talking Lane Hutson again? You're damn right we are. You're damn right we're going to talk a lot about Lane Hutson this year. A ton. I know he's a kid. I know he's a rookie. I'm trying not to get hyped here. But just stick it into my veins, man. Right in here. Give me all of Lane Hutson. Its total here in points is 38.5. I don't know how that's a thing here. There were some question marks about whether Lane Hutson is going to start the year in Montreal, if he's going to go down to the AHL, and all that stuff. And look, I've talked about it a lot. Lane Hutson is not going to the AHL. Okay? He's looked good. You've obviously seen his viral video of that absolute sauce pass that he made in practice. And then in the first preseason game, he was electric. Absolutely electric. The edge work is good. The speed is good. He's all over the ice. You see Lane Hutson everywhere. And I get that he is a rookie and there are going to be growing pains, okay? It's once these teams start to be complete, once these teams start to look more like NHL rosters, it might be a little bit difficult for Lane. It's also like, is he going to play 82 games this year? It's going to be a grind, right? They don't play 82 games in college. And the NHL season is a grind. But I think the skill here is what I'm banking on. 38.5 points is low. Okay? There are some people who are predicting him in their projections to finish with 50 points. Okay? 50 points for an NHL defenseman in terms of fantasy hockey is pretty good. All right? Some people think he could possibly win the Calder. And again, through no fault of last season, like Connor Bedard was going to win it, but there was strong arguments for Brock Faber of the Minnesota Wild to win it. And That's fair. But Brock Faber played a lot of minutes. He was young. The points are good. It is extremely tough to be a defenseman in the NHL. It's about positioning. It's about defending. Lane Hutson is obviously offensively gifted, but he's going to stick on this team because he needs to play well defensively, right? The Montreal Canadiens are going to give him the freedom to express himself, but defense first. Where you position yourself in your own zone, your coverage, all that. I think Marty St. Louis is going to be able to help him and the rest of the coaching staff, Letowski and everybody, to get him to make sure he is a good defenseman. He's not coming here to be a power play specialist. I also think maybe it's going to be hard to get him on the power play at the beginning over Mike Matheson. That, to me, there's a key factor there. Because there's nothing wrong with Mike Matheson. He is very, very good. And he's a puck-moving defenseman, and he should get some power play time. But I'm selfish, and I want Lane Hutson to be the guy. Now, obviously, do I have financial ties to that? Yeah, sure. But Lane Hutson, to me, at 38.5 here, again, we're not betting the mortgage, right? Nobody's paying off their mortgage. But I'm just saying, if I'm going to, the money I'm going to sprinkle the most is going to be here. That's how confident I am. Again, barring injuries, barring whether he's sent down or not, I can't, as long as the preseason goes on and he continues to play well, he has a spot on this team. You are going to literally have to pry it out of his hands for him to be anywhere else. I can't picture a scenario where he goes down to the AHL because he didn't play well. If he does, it's because he can go down. It's easy to move his contract, right? To go up and down through the minors. Doesn't have to clear waivers, stuff like that. I can't see a scenario where this doesn't hit. And if projections are accurate that he's close to 50 some odd points, we're blowing this number out of the water. Again, just like Juraj Slafkovsky, I don't think this is a total that hits on like the last 2 weeks of the season or like last week of the season or something like that. I think we clear this early March. I really do. I told you. And when it comes to fantasy hockey, okay, I've been talking about it over on Total Hockey Now, which of course you listen to with myself, Anthony Rivera, Adam Bernard. You guys listen, obviously, right? Total Hockey Now over on Twitter, right? YouTube channel as well. Go ahead, hit the sub button over there. Obviously, you know that I have been talking a lot about Lane Hutson. I have been drafting him late in drafts. If you're in a fantasy hockey league and Lane Hutson's around at the end of those drafts, I think that the hype here is going to it might push him out of value, right? Especially in fantasy hockey where you might be like, hey, I'm not going that far for him, right? They're still good players. But if you're in the last two picks of your draft and you're looking for some upside, Lane Hutson's here. I love the over here. Have I said that enough yet? Is everybody clear how much I love Lane Hutson? Because I'll say it again if you want. Right? I'll do a whole other segment on him if you want. I'm just saying. Lane Hutson is here. He's here to stay. He's going to be very good. I understand I have to temper my expectations a little bit here. Okay? I'm trying so hard. But I fully believe that he can have success. I really do. That makes sense? Everybody got that? Good. So, the over was on Huberdeau. Let me pull that up again here. Sorry, let's work in inverse here. Juraj Slafkovsky, over 24.5 goals, right? Lane Hutson we just saw. And of course, Jonathan Huberdeau, over 54.5 points. Okay? Those are my three best bets. I did two. I believe I gave two in the first episode of the new season, right? Just go back. Go back. Go back. Watch them. Right? It was Ottawa, and let me see if I hold on. Let me see if I can I know. This is riveting. I know that my bad. Okay. I did you're right. I did 2 team ones. Sorry. I did Montreal Canadiens over 76.5 points, right? A minus 130 at that time. I also did the Ottawa Senators under 90.5 points, a minus 150. So there you go. There's even more. If you didn't watch that episode, it's okay. I understand. You're busy. Things happen, man. You know, life gets busy. But with those 3 now, with those 2 team ones, I've got 5. I'll see if there's any more that are like there's value that I should be keeping up with. But for now, I got 5. I might sit pat there for a minute, and then unless I find something I really love, and then I'll make sure that you guys know about it. But that's where we are at today, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us to the end of the pod. As always, hey, thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you haven't already, please drop a like on this video. Okay, thumbs up like this. Drop a comment if you have a best bet that you think I should be looking at. Drop it in the comment section. Okay. Also, tell me if you're Taylor or fading my picks. Hit the sub button, ring the bell. Follow me on Twitter at FuzzyChris91. Slapshot Podcast on Twitter at Slapshot Podcast. Slapshot Podcast on TikTok. I got some good ones, man. I'm telling you, I promise. All right. There's lots of great stuff. Like I said, keep it locked. We might do mic'd live stream on Saturday. I got to figure out how that goes. It won't be later in the evening. It might be somewhere in the afternoon. I'm trying to get this all settled up. If not, we'll do it during a weekday. Instead of this podcast going live, per se, like I do, like I record it, then send it off. Maybe we just do a live podcast. Live. And we do some mock drafts, all right? As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I love you. I will see each other. We'll see each other next week. All right. Be easy.